Cristal visits Helena for a fortune reading session. As they form an initial rapport, Cristal opens up about her struggle with depression due to her husband leaving her. Helena senses Cristal's past and gives her reassurance that she has everything to live for. Cristal gains comfort from Helena's prediction of a hopeful future. Meanwhile, Helena's ex-husband Alfie struggles with age and mortality, leading him to make drastic lifestyle changes. Alfie's obsession with youth leads him to abandon Helena, leaving her heartbroken, yet resilient. Helena reveals her financial assistance towards her daughter Sally and her struggling writer husband Roy. Roy, trying to balance a day job and his writing, ends up quitting his job after a car accident brings him to a breaking point. Sally, exasperated, questions Roy about the progress of his book, which has been in the works for many years. Roy and Sally's marital troubles escalate into a heated argument about his reluctance to finish his book in their stalled life. A twist of fate introduces them to the attractive young woman moving into the flat across from them, creating a complex dynamic. Sally's ambitions are sidelined as she succumbs to the busy routines of her job. As Roy struggles with his writing, he finds solace in observing the neighbor across the street. When the pretty neighbor asks Roy if her guitar playing is a distraction, he tells her he's been idling, reading a friend's new book. Roy, under the spell of a distracting, musical neighbor, praises Lia's newfound writing success. However, Lia's success starts to dent Roy's confidence in his own creative abilities. Sally complains about her mother continuously visiting, expressing concern about her mental health. Despite Sally's attempts to protect Roy, the conversation with her mother still affects him. The mother, who's fallen into dependency on her psychic, Cristal, insists on predicting Roy's future, which does not involve literature. This unsettles Roy, who has just submitted his new novel and is anxious about the response. Sally tries to reassure Roy, dismissing Cristal's predictions. Point 1. Alfie Shepherd confides in his daughter Sally about his newfound love and future marriage plans. Sally is stunned firstly by the unexpected news and secondly, learning that her mother has been relying on a psychic for emotional strength. In this moment of big personal revelation, Alfie also seeks Sally's help in choosing a perfume. Alfie, newly engaged to Charmaine, shares this information with his surprised daughter, Sally, as he seeks her help with wedding preparations. Simultaneously, her mother consults a psychic for emotional reassurance, who foretells a new love for her and doubts Alfie's love for Charmaine. In a jewelry store, Alfie considers expensive gifts for his future wife, Charmaine. The jeweler convinces Sally to try on some exquisite diamond earrings to help him make a decision. Seeing them on Sally, he decides to buy them, much to Sally's disappointment as she must give them back. Skeptical about her father's sudden engagement, she shares her doubts about Charmaine with the jeweler. Discussing Alfie's future wife, Sally admits to her friend Helena that she's skeptical about her father's relationship with Charmaine, an actress. Helena arrives upset about the marriage but shares Cristal's prophecy about her own love life will bring her a tall, dark stranger in the future. They also reveal that Sally is expecting news about her book soon. Despite her skepticism, Helena assures Sally that Cristal's prophecies are certain. Sally and Helena continue their discussion where Sally suggests Cristal gets her information from Helena's masseuse rather than any supernatural ability. They meet Alfie and his actress girlfriend, Charmaine, turning their conversation towards Sally's ability to conceive, bringing up some old family issues. Alfie introduces his new girlfriend Charmaine, an aspiring actress from America, to Sally, Helena, and Roy. Alfie romantically declares his plans to marry Charmaine and start a family. Charmaine reveals they met through a mutual acquaintance, leaving a hint that there might be more to the story. In a somewhat awkward encounter, Alfie meets Charmaine, an actress who seems to be doubling as a professional companion. To his surprise, she assures him of her hygiene and that she's only doing this part-time. Alfie then complains about Helena's aging. Alfie continues spending time with Charmaine, buying out her time and falling in love with her, much to his surprise. He even goes as far as proposing to her, suggesting that he can offer her a more secure and stable life compared to her current lifestyle. Helena's daughters speculate about Alfie's intentions with Charmaine. While they note their father's evident happiness, they worry she's going to exploit him. The conversation then shifts to Helena's upcoming first job as a personal shopper for Peter and Enid Wicklow, longtime friends of the family. Helena demonstrates her skills by suggesting a bold fashion choice to Enid for her weekend away. Helena meets Jonathan, a charming man trying to contact his late wife through the occult. Back at work, Helena's continued success in helping Peter revamp his look is noted and appreciated by all. Meanwhile, Alfie calls Roy to check up on a book he left with Malcolm Dodds, only to find he's out of town. In another setting, a conversation ensues to set up a lunch date despite the bad weather. Helena agrees to have lunch with Jonathan. Roy, on a walk, meets Dia, a PhD student in musicology who reveals she likes being his muse. An unexpected confession by Roy about having seen Dia in a red dress stuns her. Roy has lunch with Dia, who seems to enjoy his company and suggests he let her father read his novel. Dia admits that her fiancé Alan usually lives in Brussels. Meanwhile, Sally seems thrilled at Helena's successful art exhibition, reminiscing about their old school days. Sally's old school friend, Christopher, marvels at her successful life and makes an extravagant offer, 2 opera tickets that neither he nor his wife can use. Disclosing that it's Roy's poker night, Sally ponders whether she can find a friend to accompany her. After enjoying the opera and Irish coffee with Christopher, Sally listens to his woes about his marriage. Christopher thanks her for her company, leaving Sally slightly taken aback. Meanwhile, Roy's anxiety about his book sees him spending more time with Dia, who confesses her fears about her impending marriage. Dia expresses her confusion about responding to Roy's flirtations despite her impending marriage. Meanwhile, Alfie pampers Charmaine with a fancy new apartment and silk underwear. They flirt and cozy up to each other on the floor there. With Alfie's generosity in full swing, Charmaine hints at a bracelet she fancied at Cartier. Unnamed characters gossip about Alfie's fling with Charmaine while at the gym, expressing envy and attraction towards Charmaine. The conversation implies one of them might make a move on Charmaine, adding a layer of complication to Alfie's existing entanglement. Meanwhile, another set of characters discuss potential partnerships and starting a new art gallery. In a surprising twist, Charmaine confesses to her friend that she is having an affair with Greg, something which was initially a professional relationship discussing her artwork. Charmaine insists that the state of Greg's marriage is not her doing, but it's clear that her affair has introduced an unexpected tension. This revelation also makes it clear that the pearls she is wearing were a gift from Greg. Charmaine confesses her uncertainty about her affair with Greg to a friend, mentioning that his wife is bipolar. Later, Greg's wife, frustrated from waiting for a call about her book and Greg's lack of support, argues with him about her job. She desires to start a family, but is weighed down by the financial pressure and her role at Greg's gallery, leading her to consider opening her own gallery. A long-awaited call about Roy's book leaves him dejected when Malcolm Dodds conveys their decision to not publish it. Meanwhile, Charmaine's mother, visiting without notice, imposes her views about Charmaine needing to start a family instead of working. She also shares some gossip about Cristal del Giorno, apparently unbothered by Charmaine's distress. Roy is distraught after Malcolm Dodds communicates their decision to not publish his book. During this time, Sally's mother, who's visiting unexpectedly, suggests that Roy, despite his frustrations, should look at alternative career paths like medicine. The tension escalates, leading to Roy lashing out at Sally's mother. With Roy's book rejected and Sally's mother exacerbating the tension, Roy finally explodes, accusing Sally's mother of creating noise and introducing unneeded optimism. He decides to leave, expressing his dissatisfaction with their marriage. Sally's mother, undeterred, suggests that Sally should consider her boss as a new romantic option. Sally is left in shock as her life begins to crumble around her. In scene 29, Roy runs into Dia unexpectedly and spirals into self-deprecation. Amidst his hopelessness, he gets a shock when a friend calls about a tragic car accident that has left their mutual friend Mike in a coma, and their friend Henry, along with 2 girls, dead. In his grief, Roy has a sudden idea. He recalls that the deceased Henry has a first novel that no one has read. A sudden and tragic car accident leaves their friend Henry dead, giving Roy an idea to claim Henry's unpublished novel as his own. Meanwhile, Dia visits an occult bookshop and shows interest in reincarnation. Later, Dia resists going to a play with Roy again, finding them boring. Dia shares her wish to do things she enjoys with Roy, like dancing. Meanwhile, Sally announces her plan to divorce Alfie and start her own art gallery. Dia develops a deeper interest in Roy, worth noting since she believes him to be the author of the riveting book she's engrossed in. Dia receives compliments on her artwork from her demanding critic father. Meanwhile, Sally discusses her upcoming divorce with Alfie, who's financially strained post his failed investments and needs to be more budget-conscious. However, Sally can't resist her attraction to Roy and considers leaving Alan for him. Alfie is required to be more frugal due to financial troubles. Meanwhile, Sally visits Roy. They flirt as he helps her with a sprained leg, coaxing her to share details about her past in Las Vegas before her marriage to Alfie. In a surprising twist, Sally and Roy start to get intimate, hinting at an affair. In the meantime, at a party, a woman announces she's met someone else, causing a heated argument among the guests about wedding plans that had involved people flying in from around the world. The lost costs and disappointment are immense, leaving everyone shocked and upset. The scene is filled with high emotions as Sally's betrayal is revealed at a party. In a different setting, Sally's mother introduces her to a spiritual man she's fond of and they share a deep conversation in a diner. The mother generously offers financial support to Sally for starting a new business and they discuss Sally's married co-worker Greg, indicating a future potential relationship. Sally and Greg, her boss from her former job, have a heart-to-heart where both share they are going through divorces. Greg reveals he's seeing Iris, which throws Sally off guard a bit. They lightly touch upon a possibility of them together, but in the end, Greg wishes Sally luck with her new art gallery. Sally runs into Ray, who is on the lookout for his wife. Having thought he saw Sally emerging from a hotel, the encounter becomes awkward when she denies being there. Meanwhile, Roy moves in with Dia after splitting with Sally. On a professional front, there's celebration over Roy's new book, which is getting a phenomenal response, marking a turning point in his career. At a dinner, Alfie tries to convince Helena that he made a mistake leaving her and regrets his marriage with the younger woman out of fear of solitude. Meanwhile, Helena, immersed in her beliefs about reincarnation, suggests Alfie will live again, jolting him with her conviction about having lived past lives. Alfie's attempt at reunion fails as Helena asserts her new life and her relationship with Jonathan, who's connected with his deceased wife Claire through a séance, somewhat upsetting Helena. Alfie causes a ruckus before storming out of their house. Later, the surprise comes when Sally introduces her fiancé, Dia, to her friends. During a gathering, Sally updates everyone about her life's recent turns, her upcoming book and her newfound love in Diameter. She also corrects the miscommunication about Strangler being in a coma and Mike dying instantly, causing confusion among the guests. The birthday gathering proves dramatic with health updates, Strangler's prospects in a coma and Alfie's sudden physical distress. Amidst the bewilderment, Sally drops unexpected news on Alfie, revealing that she's pregnant, leaving Alfie stunned and astonished. In a heated dispute, Alfie questions the paternity of Sally's unborn child and insists on a DNA test. A distressed Sally pleads with him, asserting Alfie is the father. Desperate for his own biological son, Alfie remains skeptical about Sally's words, leaving the room in turmoil. Arriving at Sally's place, her mom is shocked at Jonathan's absence and expresses concerns over Sally's mental state. Sally's conversation with her mom reveals that she needs a loan to start her art gallery. However, her mom, an ardent follower of her astrologer Cristal, declines Sally's request based on Cristal's astrological reading about unfavorable star alignment for financial transactions. Frustrated, Sally insists she needs the loan, accusing Cristal of being a fraud. Sally's frustration boils over as she accuses her mother's astrologer, Cristal, of being a fraud. She pleads for the loan she desperately needs for her art gallery, but her mom, a firm believer in Cristal's predictions, is adamant about not going against the astrologer's advice. Henry's friends meanwhile visit him in his disabled state, missing his company but unsure if he can hear them. Roy and Henry's friends visit him in the hospital, hoping he can hear them. Cristal suggests to Alfie that Claire would not oppose him marrying again, whereas Sally finds comfort in Cristal's past life narratives. Despite Alfie's skepticism, Sally insists that her beliefs may have a therapeutic effect. Sally and Cristal delve deeper into the concept of past lives. Cristal, who claims to have vivid recollections from her previous existences in France, piques Sally's curiosity, allowing them to connect over their shared interest in reincarnation and French history.